Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So let's go ahead and jump on into a collective message, and we shall see. We have got the sun followed by the action of cups in the reverse. So we have clarity, we have forward motion, we have happiness as well. But it's interesting because the second card here talks about somebody literally doing the opposite. They're not moving towards something. They've chosen, to not pursue something, or they said something doesn't make me happy. So my heart is not interested in this. Whereas the first card says, oh, my heart is very interested and I'm going in this clear, definitive way. We have a King of Cups, and this King of Cups, I mean, it's with the seahorses there, which they do mate for life. We see somebody who's in love, and this could be the story of a divine masculine. Why do we have that? It's the action of cups would be the Knight of Cups in any other deck, but it's in the reverse. Why is that there? Because there had been some other maybe avenue that he, for a period of time, wondered if he should go down some other road. And this is confirmed, like, I am so over somebody else. I'm not hung up on someone. I'm not emotionally manipulated by someone. I'm not still holding on to this huge boulder of regret or something. I now know who I love and who I'd like to be with. I know who my person is, and that's an incredibly joyful energy. So let me just ask, what is it that is making you so clear all of a sudden on where your heart is, who your heart belongs to? Nine of Pentacles, he finally feels free. He feels free, and he is, look, birds are migratory, so they do return. We see a bird flying home. This could be somebody who knows who they really want to be with, and it could be somebody that they already had in their life at one point in time. This could be a King of Cups who wants to put his marriage back together. This could be a King of Cups. Okay, as I say that, we literally get the Hierophant. So definitely could be about marriage. I know who I'm in love with. I know, who I want to restore things with. Or it is simply that I know who I would like to marry. And it is somebody that I finally feel free of some other huge burden. Let's talk about what the burden was. Because, like I said, he even said, like, my heart didn't want to go down that road, but it was such a huge heavy burden that I was carrying for so long. So tell me what the burden was that is no longer factoring in, but I'm just trying to figure out if this was a person, if this was, something from the past. Okay, so for a cup sideways, there was definitely something where there were regrets. This was old history. And there's that King of Cups and the Temperance. Okay, so this could be one of those yo-yo stories where he had somebody in his past that he did love at one point in time. And then either that whole storyline went really sideways and they were not happy together anymore. A lot of water under the bridge, a lot of mistakes made, a lot of regrets, a lot of embarrassment, because it's like, man, that wasn't the way to have handled things. And so it seems like they must have parted ways at some point in time, which is maybe when he fell in love with somebody else, or perhaps he never parted ways with this person, but admittedly, there's somebody else on his mind, somebody else that he cares deeply for. However, instead of going down a road that would bring him into someone's world that he would love to be with, it appears he perhaps still thought he had to hold on to this relationship where there was already a lot wrong with this. But instead of like admitting it, it's like he poured more energy into salvaging this connection. More, okay, let me at least give more and more and more of my, supposed heart and love to a connection that I really feel is a wrong connection. It's not where my heart wants to be, but I have to buckle down, and because I don't want to be here, I have to give even more to it to make myself stay. Like, that's what this looks like. Like, he was trying to salvage something, and it was, there was a lot of guilt around this. There was a lot of, just tedious, heavy energy around this, but he kept trying. At this point, he's not doing that anymore. We saw him finally admitting, I don't want to be making nice with a person that I don't actually want to be with. Tell me, what is it that brought you to that conclusion? Like, you don't want to keep salvaging a connection that is wrong. We have the boy of discs, we have the man of discs. So this is all pentacle energy. This has been a long, slow journey. But you notice that the game is over here. He's matured into, in this case, a king of pentacles, where, he started to really look at it, doing something or staying committed somewhere that you don't want to be. That's going to be the sum of your life. That's going to be where you invest, where you put your time, your money, your energy. And if it's not even where you want to be, then, it would be like investing in, a house that you don't want to live in, or investing in a company that is failing. And it just kind of, I think something became clear that this was a weird game. This is it was never, he wasn't in it for the right reason. It was nothing but, I don't know, I think his mind was really confused. So it feels like he was torn between, do I stay and try to salvage a connection that, maybe I admittedly made mistakes in, so that's why I feel bad, so I guess I should stay and try to fix it. But the bottom line is, I didn't want to be here, and it has become a game because I'm constantly lying to myself. And it could be that this connection, that it could have been with the Sagittarius. We did see that Temperance card. Let me just ask, what about the person who, I think, Eight of Cups? So whomever the relationship was with, that person also was kind of checked out, because we have the Eight of Cups. Look, I've been ready to go for a long time. I think that once upon a time, these two did have feelings for each other, though, since we had, like, the King of Cups here, and even on this Eight of Cups, we're down at the bottom of the sea. I feel as if there was a reason two people originally got together. They could have had emotion for each other, but I don't think it's where they were supposed to continue to be. I think that their connection went really sideways long time ago, and instead of letting it go and moving on, I think that they stayed in it. So at this point, it's like, I can't keep going and putting my time into something that I don't want to be in. So that's where the storyline is for right now. And at the same time, there is this thrill of, like, not only am I not going to stay where I don't want to be, I know where I do want to be. I have a sense of freedom here. I have finally identified in my own head and heart, like, I always wanted to be somewhere else. I always wanted to be with someone else. There's someone else I was supposed to marry. And I've known it for a really long time. And now I'm finally admitting it to myself, and I'm finally free to go ahead and say this out loud. Now, the question is, we see a big chapter of, this king's life is ending with the wrong person. And we see them with that, this is year of the fire horse. So this could happen sometime this year. Doesn't mean it's already going on in this fictional story, but we see the freedom and the, like, thrill of knowing I'm finally done with something. But who is this person that you feel is so right for you now? That they could be a Taurus, they could be a Leo, whomever this person is that you want to kind of like go galloping toward, that you feel is right for you to marry. Action of Cups. So once again, same card as in the beginning when we saw him with the Action of Cups in the reverse, him saying, I can't keep going toward and building and committing to somebody that I don't want to be with. The person he does want to be with is that energy, but is the person he would now gravitate toward. He would take the action toward. The thing is, this person is hidden. Now, I'm going to say she only because the moon represents, the divine feminine. So we're going to say there is a feminine that probably lives here in a castle in some other kingdom far away. She represents the person that he has needed to get himself tidied up and free and healed for, but she is at a distance here. And I would say she is not aware that he has, like, finally changed his mindset on this. We have Eight of Wands and we have the Mastery of Coins. Now, I know we see a Queen of Pentacles on this card, although technically this would be the King of Pentacles. They put a feminine on this particular King card. So just as a side note, so she may have a duality to her. And let's not forget, he has become a King of Pentacles. He has, one of the reasons that he's finally like made this decision is he said, I want to be a King of Pentacles. It's not even like I want to be the King of Cups anymore. There's somebody else I would like to be with, and that's the truth of it. Yeah, he'd like his divine counterpart at this point, person that he feels most bonded to. Now, she could have a duality to her where she is both, sitting in her masculine and feminine energies. Just because we see a king card with a feminine on it. So she could be particularly like harmonious and balanced in those energies. We see him again, this sense of, I want to race to her. I can't wait to tell her this. She doesn't know this, but I'm finally single. I finally am free. Now, let me just ask, and I'm going to say it in a rude way, so forgive me, but why do you think she's going to be thrilled to hear that you're now single? 8 of Cups, because she walked away from me at one point. There's a lot of walking away going on in these stories, huh? Because she walked away from me at one point in time. Okay, so she knew that you were with somebody else? Yeah, she knew I was married. That's an Empress. She knew I was married. That's why she stayed away from me. The Queen of Pentacles stayed away from me because I was a married individual. Okay. Was there, I don't know, this doesn't have to mean that there was a romance. This could have been one of those situations where, sometimes there's like the gray area where it's like, well, we kind of have acknowledged that, you're taken and, I probably shouldn't be around. Like this could be 2 people who, it doesn't mean that there was cheating. It doesn't mean that there was any of that. It could have been, but let me just ask, what was the context? The magician, it's like, do I do this or do I do that? The magician can be the trickster. You notice the battle between heart and head, I'm going to do this, no, I'm going to do that. So I don't know if they were perpetually trying to figure out, like, how can I manifest with this Queen of Pentacles? I'm going to do it. Wait, no, I still have to do this other thing. It feels like that's indecisive energy. They may have been back and forth about what was right or wrong, or, what they could do, what they couldn't do. I don't know. That's what that makes me think of right now. Let me just ask, as far as Queen of Pentacles goes, actually, let's give her her own deck, huh? Queen of Pentacles, what was your takeaway in all this? Hanged Man, talk about indecisive. That fits very well with that magician card we just saw. It's like he was procrastinating, couldn't make decisions. He was of 2 minds about everything. Okay, so from your perspective, were you aware then that he was unavailable? Yeah, 4 of Wands. It's funny because it's like I was aware that I actually thought he wanted to marry me, but that brings up the question of the word marriage, and we already saw him possibly as having been married. 3 of Coins. She knew something was afoot. I don't know that she was ever lied to. I wonder if this is one of those complicated situations where somebody in an unhappy or unsatisfying or mismatched connection, meets her, and there's an obvious, the Queen of Pentacles is aware, like, I care about him, he cares about me, but you know what? You're not actually free. So what, you're going to try to build with 2 of us? How do you do that? How would that work? I know that there's something here and something powerful. It even feels like, in this case, like you want to marry me, but something holds you back. Now, I don't know if she knew entirely. I think she did, but I don't know what the context was. 5 of Swords sideways. I can see that it came to like electricity and, an argument and, obviously walking away in kind of a fiery blaze. That would indicate, that, and he's the one standing here going, oh my God, I've messed this all up. Well, yeah, because You kind of need to pick a lane. If you're driving down the road, you're not allowed to straddle two lanes, right? And it seems as if, from her perspective, from the Queen of Pentacles perspective, he couldn't decide about whomever he was with, nor could he decide about her. But then supposedly says he loves her. But then she's like, I actually came to the conclusion, I think he must be dealing with, still building with someone else. And honestly, it all blew up. So I don't know that she was like, oh, hey, leave your wife for me. I mean, maybe it's one of those stories. We don't get that vibe. It doesn't seem like this is quite some, simple, like, oh, you're married, but I want you. So, let me see if I can, I'll get annoyed if you're not going to leave somebody else for me. I don't know what the context was. I don't know how this thing began. Let's ask Queen of Pentacles, how did things start in your mind? Two of Swords. It started out with her not being told a damn thing. She's like, I didn't know he was married, or I didn't know there was somebody else. He may have taken great lengths to hide that from me, keep that from me, block me from finding that out. We have a whole line of, police on horseback here. Like, he may have put up significant layers to prevent her from knowing this. That's what I thought, because I feel like this is, I don't know, this whole storyline feels so indecisive, right? And so I could picture, I could understand that she's no dummy because she's a Queen of Pentacles, so she's very intuitive. But at the same time, it's very hard to figure things out that you don't have proof of if it's intentionally being kept from you. But then you still somehow kind of, it would be like if there was a gigantic elephant standing next to me. No matter what, I'm going to sense that gigantic looming thing, even if I can't exactly get somebody to talk to me about it. I'm going to see it. I'm going to know it's there. I'm going to acknowledge it. It's blocking out the light. There are some things that but you don't have full dialogue around. And I mean, that sounds crazy, but this storyline says there were great lengths taken to make sure that that line of conversation wouldn't happen. Oh, I hope that you've moved on. Honestly, Queen of Pentacles, at this point in time, do you want anything to do with this character? Because I got to tell you, he's getting free and he's on his way to you. Chariot, Six of Pentacles, 10 of Wands. She laid this down a long time ago. She is like, she's moved off of this chessboard. She has other amazing people, friends, life going on surrounding her, supporting her. And if anything, she doesn't really think back. She thinks of them as somebody who never could decide, what kind of messy life they would continue to live. But for her, she's clean and free of this. She feels like the divine protected her from this person. That is going to be a really big blowout then. What are you going to say when he starts running towards you? Hey, guess what? I figured it out. I picked you. Honestly, it may be crickets on her part. She may just be in that silent mode, that Eight of Swords, like, you didn't know before. You have the Knight of Pentacles. She may not want to tell him, I'm sorry, but I'm Three of Swords. I don't, even if you want to be the King of Swords to me, or King of Pentacles to me now, I don't see that happening because you betrayed the connection. And P.S., I'm sorry, but I might have found some other King of Pentacles, or I can't see you as the King of Pentacles because of what's already played out. I don't see her taking this person back. How is that going to hit them? Let me just get one last card. 10 of Cups sideways. It is going to be reeling like, I can't believe this. What do you mean? But we're supposed to be the 10 of Cups. There's just kind of a sense of disbelief. I don't know if this person was kind of in la la land, imagining that once they came back, they could have it all still. I just don't see that happening in this one. It looks like she moved on and doesn't see them as her King of Pentacles, yet she'll end up with a King of Pentacles. I just don't see it being them. And I think it's going to be something they can't quite compute. That's going to be a tough one for them to, understand. It is too late on this one. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave this one here. That was bumpy. Thanks for being here.